Hey everyone. Okay, so to start, this is one of those chapters where, if nothing else, the one thing I will always take away from Egghead, and especially after this chapter, is how much this arc has redefined Borsalino's character for me. Because, admittedly, when talking about the three original animals, whether it's Aokiji, Akainu, or Kizaru himself, um, uh, Kizaru is the one who's always just kind of, I don't want to say just bit existed necessarily, but he's always been one of those admirals who shows up, fulfills his role to the story, then pieces out, never leaving leaving an impression, but never leaving much of an emotional impression, I guess you could say. But Egghead, but again, with Egghead, it has done so much to add context and depth to his character that however much he has filled the role of the aloof, unassuming admiral, and trying to treat Egghead like any other mission. Underneath the surface of that facade, Egghead is the first time that that Kizaru has ever probably felt true remorse and regret for having to do something he really didn't want to do. To finish Borsellino, Vegapunk was a friend, a confidant, the first person he likely had formed a true connection with, to the point of even helping him build his dream of Egghead, despite knowing to some extent that it was against a lot in order to help him out, in order to help him do such a thing, but he still helped him out anyway. And now being forced in that situation where you have to kill the one person you consider a true friend and you admire to some extent, yeah, it's no wonder he told Sakazuki to fuck off at that point. Which I will say, the fact that Sakazuki couldn't even bite back at Borsellino's remark, I'm hoping is also an indicator that we will get a glimpse into his own past very soon. Because just going off the SBS sketch of Sakazuki as a kid, it was definitely less than pleasant. Where it was, you can almost kind of tell just from that photo, profile of Sakazuki as a kid alone, that his whatever his past was, it wasn't pleasant. And at this point, we're just kind of lacking details of what exactly happened, to, to Sakazuki as a kid in his past, all that stuff. Um, with that said, I do oddly like that. I do. One thing I do oddly like that was addressed in this chapter, even if it was rather short lived, was the idea of Luffy being depressed over the fact that he failed to protect Vegapunk. And again, even though it was played up a bit for comedy, I think it's a nice reminder that he still is very much burdened by Ace's death, and the idea that he's and this idea that he's implanted in his head that he refuses to let anyone ever die again under his watch. Like, so to him, this is just another. So for Luffy, this is just another person he not only failed to protect, but another promise he failed to keep as well. This is kind of, again, though it is slightly dashed away by Lilith saying, again, even though it is slightly dashed away by Lilith saying the others are supposedly alive, and it is still nice to see this kind of thing addressed with Luffy's character. Now, in regards to what Lilith means when she says that they're alive, what I'm assuming she means by that is their physical bodies have been destroyed, but because they're sort of like, I don't want to say robots, but because the because all the Vegapunks, all the satellites were basically like like I think, I don't want to say AI, but they were like pieces of Vegapunk that were just given form. I think I think it's just one of those things where their physical bodies have been destroyed, but their consciousness still kind of remain in a sense. And like I said, I'm kind of on the fence about this because on one hand, it's an interesting enough workaround where Oda can have his cake and eat it too, but simultaneously, as I said, it did feel like a means to which to just get Luffy back to the status quo. And while obviously we don't want to see him moping and doping, I do think Oda made Luffy transition from depressed to excited again a little too quickly in this episode, in this chapter. Honestly, like I think he could have. I think he could kind of maybe smooth things out a little bit more and made it just kind of and made the whole thing linger a bit more. But it's fine. Like I said, it really just kind of comes down to a pacing issue for me. Um, Now, with that said, there is a giant shadowed elephant in the room to talk about with this chapter, which is that at the end of the chapter we see a silhouette of of someone on Elbaf, and I'm 90% sure it's Shanks. Meaning, yeah, Odo's not playing around. We're headed into a straight up confrontation with Shanks and the Red Air Pirates. But then there's that 10% of is then that 10% is where my doubt comes into play because for me, it's a question of if this is Shanks, if this if this is Shanks, then why even put a silhouette on him to begin with? Like which gets to the other possibility I've seen floated around, which is that it could be the Golden Lion Shiki, which would definitely be cool. Don't get me wrong. I would actually really love that if it was Shiki, but the only thing that's like preventing me from believing in it fully, at least right now, is that I'm having trouble figure out exactly what context he would fit into Elbaf's arc, or even why now would he appear all of a sudden? Like it's kind of that context of like why only now is he appearing? Like we didn't like I'm not saying we didn't get build up to it, but we didn't get enough build up either to it in my opinion, to his return. And what's and even then like and even then, why now would he? And what's the? And even then, what would be the angle Oda would be going for if it is in fact Shiki? And that's kind of what brings me back to the idea that I do think it is more likely that this is Shanks or someone from his crew. It's just a question of why the silhouette. That kind of it's kind of caused a bit of doubt over it for me. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe from on Twitter, Analyst Crunchyroll, push the notification bell with the subscribe button, and just everyone, guys. Dark Knight of signing off. Later, everyone.